I was like, what were you doing with my drapes, the drapes that were hanging in the apartment? I never got the answer to that.
Hi, I'm Kari from Skyproperties, and I'm here with Matt Fuller from Fuller Insurance, who has been in the business for a very long time, is considered an expert, and we are here today to find out what's happening in the apartment owner's world.
Well, thank you, Kari. She was nice enough not to say how long I've been in the business, so I appreciate that. But started when I was 24, so a long time.
My favorite question is always to ask you, what's the craziest claim you got this year? And of course, you have great stories for that. And this video is really about trying to avoid having a story like that. So tell me about some of the habitability claims you've had this year.
Well, habitability, as you know, is the big buzzword in the industry. I think the attorneys before, back in 1999, were going after mold. When they took away that exclusion on homeowners in a lot of the apartment complexes, the attorneys went the other direction. Now it tends to be a new word, is habitability. And that's sort of an all-encompassing everything from the mold issues
it's everything.
to leaky roofs, to pest control, to bugs, deferred maintenance. So it's sort of a catch-all going forward. And the problem that the insurance companies are having is they're starting to being nervous of that, because apartment buildings, there's a handful of carriers that write it. And so with that, going forward, the carriers are now putting restrictions on the underwriting side, the ages of the buildings, and the updating. So I think you're seeing that from insurance companies asking more questions.
Yes,
before we used to ask who you are, where the building is, and how many units, and that was fine. Now we're asking specifics, what you've done as far as the electrical, plumbing, heating, and roofs.
And I've noticed that the inspections are more extensive, and the time limit to get these things done are shorter. If they see something, for example, the rails are more than 4 inches apart on a gate or fence, they want them smaller, or handrails, especially on second stories, the handrails, which we've known for a long time, but one of our solutions was for wide handrails was to do another rail going across, and now you were just telling me today that that's not going to work because now the kids can crawl up those rails.
If you have the rails that are horizontal, they're acting like a ladder, and the kids are just going right over top. And so they're looking at now 4-inch railing openings with no ladder effect. And so you can either put plexiglass, put something in there, wire mesh,
which is so
something.
ugly. So you have to try to find creative solutions that looks good and still accomplishes what you need to get accomplished.
In your world, you want to make it look good. In my world, we want to make it safe.
Safe.
Okay,
So but I want to do both.
I understand.
I want to do both.
I understand. And from purely the habitability standpoint, we're seeing more of the insurance companies asking for pest control. A lot of my owners in the past said, well, I'll do it myself. And the answer there is no. So I highly suggest you do have contract with pest control companies.
Right, and the laws have changed in regards to doing pest control anyways. You're not allowed to apply it unless you disclose every single chemical that you're using, and there are certain licenses that you have to have in order to accomplish that. So I wouldn't recommend doing your own pest control anyways. I mean, at least not at my buildings. And even the store-bought stuff, the pests seem to eat that like food. So you really want to have a good pest control company and get it done right to begin with. There's been some huge lawsuits for bed bugs, but
bed bugs is the next biggest claim. Some of the carriers are putting some limitations on bed bugs, and so the insurance companies are trying to insure the properties. At the same time, obviously make profit going forward. And so the new policies are excluding under supplemental payments attorney's fees if awarded by the courts, which sounds like it's not a big deal. But the insurance companies are ripping that out. And so with that, if we go to court and lose, and you're at the new insurance policies, you may get stuck with the attorney's fees. And so a lot of owners don't want the insurance companies to settle, but in some cases it's better if they do. So
I've noticed that in some of the new renters policies that I can actually require that they have bed bug insurance, and they will cover, I've seen up to $2,000, which I thought was amazing because you can get heat, which is a one-stop thing where if you spray, you have to do it about 3 times normally to get rid of them. And if you are allowed the budget of $2,000, you can actually get the heat treatment right off the bat, depending on the size of the unit, and just knock it all out at once, which seems like a better solution. And then it doesn't fall as much on the building owner. It's more of a collective between the tenant and the management company and the building owner to get it done.
That is correct. So the more the owners can do to help us insure your building with as much as you're doing as far as the updating along with pest control,
Right.
the better from an underwriting standpoint, the better credits we can give going forward.